I haven't seen this yet. I'm quite excited to see it with you, Chewie. And obviously it's a long story because it's the feature on 3 News. It's their story. The Prime Minister's press secretary recorded sex workers without consent. Let's see what it's all about.
No mai haere mai, welcome to 3 News. One of Christopher Luxon's key staff members has quit. It follows a staff investigation into allegations he made secret audio recordings during sessions with Wellington sex workers. Michael Forbes has been acting as the Prime Minister's Deputy Chief Press Secretary since February and has this afternoon offered an apology. He's also accused of amassing a gallery of images of women working out at a gym, shopping and being filmed through a window getting ready to go out.
Fucking
Investigations
great.
journalist Paula Penfold has this exclusive report.
Michael Forbes in India with the Prime Minister in March. His day job, as he describes it, providing advice for Christopher Luxon to communicate the government's priorities, milestones and successes to New Zealanders. But now he's the
Michael Forbes has made a mistake, and when we make mistakes, we need to face accountability for our actions.
Zara, we'll call her, is a postgraduate student and sex worker. In July last year, she says Michael Forbes was her client. She noticed he had 2 phones, both placed face down. Suspicious, she turned them over.
And I found that one was audio recording.
She and colleagues went through the phones.
There are at least 7 audio recordings of sex workers where he has recorded the bookings from.
Can I ask a question? This is a bit weird because I'm a news hound and I want to know the logistics of something. I remember when the infamous Tea Party happened between, was it John Key and maybe it was Seymour or one of those guys.
Banks, wasn't it?
And one of the journalists accidentally left a microphone near and it recorded everything they were saying. And at that time, I'm 90% sure, because I think I was at ZB reporting at the time, if one person knew there was a recording device, that's all there needed to be in New Zealand law. So there's 2 things here. There's the obvious creepy guy, creepy creepster part of this. But I think I've read stories where they talk about police are investigating. If anybody knows if that's still the law or I have that wrong, I would be interested in finding out. People saying the teapot tapes, yeah. But I remember that was why the journalist didn't get in any trouble, because the law then was it was only a one party consent or something. Like, yeah, they have 2-party consent or 1-party consent. So I'm just putting that out there for some more information I'd like to know as we keep going in the story.
From start to finish.
What does that include, the booking from start to finish?
It includes greetings, getting to know each other at the start, and sexual intercourse and intimacy.
They also found dozens of photos of women at the gym or shopping in the supermarket.
They are very closely zoomed in on the woman's bottoms.
And more.
We also found videos of him recording 2 young women getting dressed. There are several moments where they're naked, where neither is wearing a top and you can see their exposed breasts. I was horrified. It was very scary. It felt like someone was, a man that was experiencing a high volume of sexual desire and was offloading that onto innocent women.
A complaint was made to police, but Forbes was not charged. The audio recordings were not illegal because under the law, only one party needs to consent to record.
Okay, I'm sorry for that big interruption. I hadn't watched the story. I said it to you. So yes, that is still the law. It's a single party consent in New Zealand for recording.
That was Forbes. The photos were taken in public places, also not illegal. But what about the video filmed through the window of women getting dressed?
He put his needs above theirs, and it's disgusting and wrong, and they have no idea, which is just completely unfair and unjust.
In a statement, police said they received a complaint from a Wellington brothel in July last year after a client was found to have concerning images and recordings on his phone. Police investigated, and having spoken to the individual and noting the event did not meet the threshold for criminal prosecution, the case was filed. What is the impact on you of this?
I felt traumatized. I had to pay money to process the trauma with a therapist,
And she believes Forbes' job made it worse.
and they have a duty to provide the truth to the public, and he cannot pick and choose when to apply those rules. You cannot go into a private arrangement and decide that you will no longer act ethically and justly.
Sex work researcher and advocate Sherida Fraser agrees.
It is a moral and ethical breach. It is a breach of consent and privacy and respect. And if this person is advising our government in one way or another, I think it is important that that we know.
Yeah, that's interesting, eh? I mean, I remember, actually, I probably shouldn't have mentioned names because I don't want to drag other people into this topic. But speaking to other politicians about nothing like this, but like what they did behind closed doors and their philandering, cheating on wives and stuff. And I was always sort of the opinion that, don't you think the public has a right to know that? Because if your partner, if your wife can't trust you, how can we? So there is this line between what happens behind closed doors, your own business. No one should ever know. It doesn't matter. You know, what kinks I have, for example, it's not going to affect how I work as a politician or an advisor or a doctor or whatever. Flipping that over to when you go into the creepy McCreep a lot, does that put you in a position of being, I can't think of the right word, tarnished is what I was thinking when it comes to giving advice and that kind of thing. I don't know, because I think what we've seen today as well is he's made a statement. He's come out making a statement talking about having some lows. He when I say sold it, I'm both not saying it's not genuine, but I'm also not standing up for him. He sold it as sort of an addictive type thing. Points in his life, low points, really embarrassed. He's been working on it, working through it, that sort of thing. And if it is that, if it's, for example, a sex addiction or a porn addiction or something like that, then what? We're not going to throw an alcoholic out the door for being an alcoholic. What do we do then? Yes, an alcoholic pretty much just damages themselves and their liver. This is about other people. So I'm if this was something to do with a Labor Party MP, I also wouldn't throw them under the bus. It would be interesting to see how this does pan out, Chewie, and what it does mean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like looking at this story, I mean, yeah, okay, one party consent for recording. Sure, police can't charge for that. Still goes in the really fucking creepy box.
I agree. And look, let me just say one more thing. I'd say one thing because I'm not want to be set up to be defending people. I agree with what Hadron's saying here. Addiction doesn't excuse violating women's privacy. Alcoholism also doesn't. Listen, alcoholism also doesn't excuse driving drunk. You know, so I'm not actually defending him by saying it is. All I've said is he's made a statement today, and those were the lines he started to push down. Maybe true, maybe not true. I don't know. It's a part of the overall story. Sorry, Chewie.
Then there's the taking from the description of the story some really creepy pictures of women at the gym as well.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested in that because it's not a public place.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone was exercising in a park and you wanted to get a great big telephoto lens out, have at it. It's fucking weird, but it's not illegal. Yeah. In a gym? I don't know. I don't know about that. And certainly the description of the photos is that they were very zoomed in on intimate parts of the women. So straight away there, like, where's the line there between that and, say, doing upskirt pictures or something in a changing room or something like that, where people had an expectation of at least some levels of privacy.
100%.
Right? And then there's the through the window of somebody's private dwelling while they got changed. How is that not chargeable?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one because someone, as I just put it before, peeping Tom. Surely that is a crime. To peep is a crime. Surely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if he's just deleted the evidence or whatever. Or the police put it in the too hard basket. Part of me hopes that it's not because this guy's politically connected. He's worked for some big media organisations as well. I believe he's a Stuff and Dom Post reporter. in the past as well. But this is fucked. Like,
Now,
I laugh, but this is real creep factor. I hope this guy never works a job again in his life with women in the public eye. It's close to policy. Does this speak to someone that just has a superiority complex and just an absolute disregard for women, and he's working for the Prime Minister's office?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
are we going to get another, like, hey, look, he put his hand up, he's going through some tough times, but I'm comfortable with it? Are we going to get that? He's not a governor. He's not a government minister. Like, Luxon has no skin in this at all. He can throw him to the wolves. He's not part of the. He's not an MP. He's not part of the government.
It's funny. He's quit, obviously. And I did hear Luxon. I heard reported Luxon today said if he hadn't quit, he would have been fired. I'm like, oh, you're pretty quick on this one, son. Did you learn after the last one? I will read what he said. I've got it up here if it doesn't come up in the story. I've got it on an RNZ story. I did just think though, Chewie, you said something really interesting there about the way this guy regards and treats women, and what this government's just done to women.
Yeah,
I'm just like, if we want to draw a tacit hang on, like what was he advising over the taking away of that Equal Pay Act? I mean, not to be too crass about a sexual act, but the whole government's just fucked over women. Why shouldn't this guy be one of them? You know what I'm saying?
Is this a case of your vibe attracts your tribe?
Maybe. Should we play a bit more?
Yep.
We get to the end.
We put all this to Forbes, who replied in a statement saying he wanted to apologise and says his actions were due to unresolved trauma and stress. Forbes says he understands his past actions may have undermined the trust people place in him, which is why he quit his job this morning. This afternoon, the Prime Minister's office sent a statement saying after receiving our questions, the matters were immediately raised with ministerial services and the Prime Minister was informed last evening. The allegations were discussed with the staff member and it was clear their employment was untenable. After what she went through, Zara also wants a law change so that intimate audio recordings are made illegal, just like video.
It's like in I'm sure in America, some other places though, revenge porn is illegal. I mean, this is really just one step away from revenge porn.
It's illegal here.
Because then it's really one step away. If you've got evidence of sexual encounter or something, couldn't you then hold it over their head? Isn't it basically revenge porn? Could it be used as revenge porn then? So that's a really interesting. Let's hear what the sex worker's got to say.
That intimate audio recordings are made illegal, just like video.
This law doesn't really reflect the nature of 2025, and it doesn't protect vulnerable people, which is sex workers, because it is a violation to be recorded, even if it is just your voice.
Another sex worker, Fern, agrees. You can have kinks up the yin-yang. It's the lack of consent that's the problem. Seeing a sex worker doesn't give you carte blanche when it comes to consent. You haven't rented a vessel, it's a human being, and they have not consented to being recorded.
Audio intimate recording should be included as an amendment, perhaps in the intimate visual recording.
So what they're saying is revenge porn has to be video. So video is currently illegal. Audio is not. So that's the law change that needs to come.
Legislation, and I think there should be a punishment for that.
Something for the lawmakers to deal with now that the issue has been laid bare.
Okay, Paula, a lot to unpack in your story there. So how did this all come about?
Came about because multiple sex workers in Wellington decided that it was in the public interest that people should know that their client, Michael Forbes, had been doing this. They were not happy with how the police investigation went, and so they decided that they should go public with it.
Okay, now Michael Forbes has had quite a bit to say so far in his statement that he gave to you, didn't he?
He has. There's a lot more than was mentioned in that track. He also added that he has spent the past year reflecting on how he may have affected these women's sense of safety and ability to go about their lives and work. He said that no one should ever feel violated, unsafe or disrespected, especially in spaces where they should feel secure. And I'm truly sorry for contributing to an environment where women may have felt otherwise. He says that he has been in therapy over the past year and that has helped him to understand the roots of his behaviour.
Okay, Paula Penfold there.
Paula Penfold, Investigative Journalist of the Year. I don't know if she officially is, but she should be. She gets all the good ones.
She should be.
Yeah. So
Paula's been doing some spectacular work.
What it does feel like, though, people talking about the right, and thing, and the word misogyny has come up a few times. I would never say any kind of ogyny or ISIS, meaning not ISIS as in the choppy ones, but words ending in ISIS, is never fully owned by one side of the political spectrum or one sector of society. But I think it would be fair to say that attitudes towards women and misogyny does feel like something that sits on the right far more comfortably than the left. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair. It is an assumption, but it is a fair assumption.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. What a creep.
Yeah.
We're just so creepy. And yeah, my takeaway here is why that wasn't chargeable. And I think it sounds to me like the women that found this out did everything right. Like they got the evidence, they went to the police, and then they were let down by the police.
Well, I mean, I agree it's a letdown, but it's a letdown because it's not illegal. It's actually the system that's let them down as opposed to the police. The police can't charge someone with a crime if there's no crime there, and the only reason there's no crime is the government left the audio off the legislation as opposed to video. So you know what I'm saying?
Can you imagine this in this wonderful fluffy fairy world that I live in? That in the process of stuff, obviously putting this to the Prime Minister's office and that sort of thing, that these guys tried to at least front foot this with a little bit of honour and said, yes, we're aware of this. He no longer works for us. We absolutely are disgusted by his behaviour, and we are submitting today an amendment to that same law about intimate visual recordings, that we're going to make it intimate audio recordings as well. We are going to change the law in the face of this.
Which would
God, that would be a different story, wouldn't it?
And would have passed 121-0. You want bipartisanship, you would, and then you know what? Not to play too much of the political game, then they would have had a "we can work bipartisanly" headline as well. Yeah, it would have actually been like tick 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 for national if they'd have done that.
And I haven't caught it. Did they do that, Pat?
I don't think so.
That hasn't happened.
I don't think so. It does say Luxon was informed in the evening, so that means that was at least at the earliest was yesterday. If it could have been the day before, so it's at 24 hours, and there hasn't been much about it.
Does the timeline on that work though? Like I assume that when Stuff and Paula started investigating this, that they would have had some questions to put to the Prime Minister's office. Do you think they would have done that yesterday or earlier? I don't know the timeline. What the timeline on that would be.
Well, I'm just looking through it back to see what I can see, because they did say something about the Prime Minister was informed. Here we go. Here is the official statement from the Prime Minister. Oh, there you go. It's got dates. We missed it. Let's bring it up. Hang on, we'll bring it back up. Yeah, it was a couple of days ago. It was yesterday. Okay. The Prime Minister's office was first made aware of allegations about a staff member working temporarily in the office by a journalist. A staff member working temporarily in the office? That's a bit of a distancing, isn't it? I thought this guy made aware of allegations about a staff member working temporarily in the office. There's a bit of distancing. Didn't see that the first time through. At 4 p.m. on, so basically 30 hours ago. They found out about it 30 hours ago. What's the next screen? So the matter were immediately raised with the Ministerial Service, and the Prime Minister was informed that evening. So this time last night, after 6 p.m, the PM found out about it. So it has been 24 hours, and there hasn't been any significant sort of front footing of this by the PM, that's for sure.
So we've made a couple of comments of people on the right falling for this trap of being an absolute creep. Can we widen that a little bit to say men in position of power because we can put the deputy police commissioner in that.
Okay.
Like, why are these people get to this level and or gets to some sort of pinnacle in their career, and they go, you know what, I'm going to roll the dice on everything I've worked for, and just be a little creepy boy for a bit.
It is strange how people can totally throw everything away. Like, I remember when I was working in radio, there was a story about an announcer in New York earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this was when I was working in radio, so it's probably the equivalent of millions of dollars today. And he rigged a $10,000 giveaway so his mate would win and he'd get half. So he'd get $5,000. And he was earning more than that in a week. And he lost his job, lost his career, and was never to be seen of again. Why people just do it and throw it away? It's unfathomable, you know. I don't get it. Don't get it. Anyway, hey, let's get to some super chats, and then Chewie, you need to decide if we're going to do Seymour next, or I think we should probably do Marilyn next.
Rephrasing, Pat. Please
Okay.
rephrase.